So here we go. Two final things to talk about. There is a way that we can classify stars based on what their spectrum is, okay? There's a way that we can classify stars based on what their spectrum is. And there's billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of stars out there. And so would we expect there to be, how many types of spectrum would we expect there to be? Like how many different patterns would we expect there to be in the universe? So it seems like there would be a lot because there's billions of stars. But the people who were actually studying this a little over 100 years ago realized that even though there's billions and billions of stars, almost all of them have just a few different spectrums. Turns out stars, even though there's lots of them, are all very similar to each other, okay? And because they're so similar to each other, we can classify stars based on which shape their spectrum looks like out of just a few categories. So, let me get a blank sheet of paper to write on. Oh, I'm running out of paper. Give me a blank sheet of paper. Here we go. So this classification of spectrums is called the spectral type. Spectral type. Okay? Spectral type. And I've seen some textbooks call this the Henry Draper classification, but I am not going to call it that because these spectral types, I don't think they should be named after this guy named Henry Draper. Don't even worry about who he is. Let me show you the picture of the people who actually did the work and who came up with the classifications for stars based on spectrums. Here we go. Check these people out right here. These are the people who did the work to come up with the spectral types, the classification of stars based on their spectrums, okay? And here's my question. Can you figure out, by looking at this picture, why this work, these spectral types, this classification was not named after these people? Can you figure out why it's not named after these people? Keep in mind that it was named over 100 years ago. That's right. It's because it was the 1910s, and you probably notice these are women, and women did not get a lot of credit for their work in science. These women were actually criticized at the time for not becoming housewives, for going into science instead of being a good wife. It was a crappy time. The past kind of sucks in a lot of ways. It's pretty bad. In fact, the woman who was probably this should be named after is this woman right here. She was the one that came up with the categories we use today, and she was the one to essentially decide which stars go into which categories. I wish we named it after her because you should give credit to the main person who came up with the ideas, and also it could have had a really cool name. Okay, so what her name is Annie Jump Cannon. Like, her first name is Annie, her middle name is Jump, and her last name is Cannon, like the kind that shoots. So, the Annie Jump Cannon. This could have been called the Annie Jump Cannon classification, and I would have been so happy to call it that. The Jump Cannon classification. But because of that, I'm not going to call it the Henry Draper classification, okay? I'm just going to call it spectral type because that's what the people working on it called at the time. Oh, and yeah, actually, Annie Jump Cannon never got married, never had kids. She devoted her life to astronomy, and made all kinds of other discoveries along with this. So she is now, astronomers now know who she is, and we give her credit for a lot of things now. And there's plenty of women in astronomy now, and it's increasing all the time, and they are given credit for what they do, because that's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to put that as an aside because I kind of thought that was a crappy thing that the past did. So what can you do? Anyway, so let's talk about these spectral types. Annie Jump Cannon's spectral types. How many are there? Turns out you can divide stars into just 7 categories. Okay. And this is not going to show up because of the way the screen is gone. Let me see. Can I zoom this in a little bit? No, show me bigger. Show me whatever. Okay. It's okay. Don't worry about the being able to actually see these. But if you look here, if you look real close, these 7 rainbows represent the 7 spectrums that stars can have. And they are in order, okay? They're in order. If you look on here, if you look from the top really closely to the bottom, you can see how this one on the bottom has a lot more lines on it, a lot more missing colors. And the one on the top is only missing a few colors. They've organized them so that those basically gradually increase as you go down the page here. And later, they were able to figure out that the order of the spectral types is the order of temperatures. So the very hottest stars that exist all have spectrums that look like this, and the very coldest stars that exist have spectrums that look like this, and every other one in between is an intermediate temperature. So that one's hotter than this one, that one's hotter than this one, that one's hotter than this one, on down, okay? Unfortunately, these spectral types were labeled with letters, and they were given a letter before they knew there was an order. And they were also given letters before we knew there was only 7 of them. And when they reordered them according to temperature, they kept the original letters. So you can't see it here very well, but the very hottest category is O, and the very coldest category is called M, okay? And everything else in between is a different letter, so let me write out what those are from hot to cold. So here we go. The spectral types from hot to cold. Got hot over here and cold over here are in this order. O, B, A, F, G, K, M. O, B, A, F, G, K, M. Okay. And you do need to know the order of these letters, because here is a possible type of test question I could ask. Here you go. Answer this in the chat. What's hotter, a B or a G? Which one of these is hotter? B is hotter. Okay. Which one's hotter? An F or a K? Which one's hotter? F. Because this side is the hot side, this is the cold side. So I could ask you any set of letters and ask which one's hotter. Okay? Now check this out. Here we go. Here's a slightly harder question. What color would we expect the O's and B's to look? What color would these O's and B stars be? Those would be blue. Those would be blue. Okay, how about these K's and M's? What color would these K's and M's be? Those would be red. That's right. So O's and B's are blue because they're hot. K's and M's are red because they're colder. And then A, F, and G, these ones in the middle, what kind of colors would they be? They would be yellow and orange, depending on exactly where they show up. Our sun, based on its surface temperature, is a G. Our sun, our spectral type, is a G star. So even G's are yellow. So think of these ones in the middle as yellowish. These ones is red, maybe a little bit orange on the K's. And then the O's and B's would be blue. Okay. Now, somebody asked, where do the letters come from? Originally, they didn't know there was only 7 categories. They had a whole bunch of categories, and they just labeled them A, B, C, D, E, F, G to the end of the alphabet. And then they realized that some of them were duplicates, so they got rid of some of the letters if they were a duplicate of another letter. And then, when they found out that there was a temperature order to it, they rearranged the categories without re-lettering them. Honestly, if it was me, I probably would have re-lettered them as just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or whatever, right? But I wasn't in charge of it. If they had renamed it, it would have been hard to compare work that was done before and after the renaming. Like if you had renamed it at some point, old papers that talked about B's wouldn't be the same B as later. So that's, I think, why they kept the same letters. But luckily for you guys, there is a helpful phrase that has been used for probably over 100 years to remember the order of these letters. I did not come up with this phrase. I think it's too goofy. I apologize. Here we go. Here's the phrase. O. By the way, that's the word O for the letter O. I think that's kind of lazy. The word they use for the letter O is O. Okay? So here we go. Here's the full phrase. O. Be a fine girl. Kiss me. Yay. Hooray. This is the phrase we use. Oh, be a fine girl, kiss me. Not my phrase. You can tell it's super old-fashioned at this point. And also, you would be surprised how long it took people to realize that you could also go, it's equal opportunity. You could also go, oh, be a fine guy, kiss me. Boom. Still works. So no matter what you want to kiss, it'll work as long as what you want to kiss starts with a G. So, oh, be a fine girl, kiss me. Oh, be a fine guy, kiss me. Works out. Oh, be a fine giraffe, kiss me. Oh, be a fine goat, kiss me. Oh, be a fine gerbil, kiss me. Whatever it is, as long as it starts with a G, you're good. Yay. Yay. So, here we go. Feel free to come up with your own phrase if you want to. That's totally fine. I will never forget this phrase, number one, because it's extremely cheesy, and number two, when I first learned about this, it was in the early 2000s, and Snoop Dogg was still real big. I mean, I know he's still big, but he's not big like he was. Sorry, Snoop. If you're watching this, Snoop, sorry, you're still big to me, okay? But here we go. Why am I bringing up Snoop? You guys know who Snoop is, right? You guys know who Snoop is, right? Okay, good. If you don't know who Snoop is, just get out of here. Just get out of my class if you don't know who Snoop is. Sorry about that. So, here's why I'm bringing him up. When I was first taught this phrase, oh, be a fine girl, kiss me, when the professor said it, in my head, immediately, instead of my professor saying it, it was Snoop saying it with a much smoother rhythm. So what I want you to do is right now, I'm not going to do a voice, but I want you to imagine Snoop saying this. Oh, be a fine girl, kiss me. With a better rhythm than that. Oh, be a fine girl, kiss me. Probably slower. And he would probably throw in some words in there that we probably shouldn't say on stream, but oh, be a fine girl, kiss me. Oh, be a fine girl, kiss me. Just turn it into a bop in your head, and then you'll be good to go. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Almost done.